What does 10 a.m. mean to you, Paul?
Not much. Usually coming home from the gym at that point.
Yeah, it's when the Microsoft event's going to be. We finally have the
Yeah,
time. So it is going to
actually,
be.
so remember last year,
Yep.
wasn't that event late in the day?
It's like, I think it was 4 p.m.
Yeah, so I mean,
I
making
just-
it impossible to go home,
Yep.
that day.
I distinctly remember it was me, you, and Mary Jo sitting at that bar that was like right next to the front door. And we're sitting there
Yes.
drinking, and we see like Panos walk in, like Stevie. And we're just sitting there just drinking beer. Just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so by the way, don't get to say this a lot these days. Kudos to Microsoft for finally getting something right.
Oh, yeah, that was, yeah.
You know,
Yeah. So I'm thinking this is going to be a pretty big event.
because Satya's going to be there.
Yeah. Well, I'm just
Well, I
thinking it's
mean,
gonna be-
just him showing up,
Yeah.
I think signifies something.
I think we're going to see a lot of hardware. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still hearing that the Surface Pro with an ARM chip is happening. That the AMD laptop is happening.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to see a Surface Book refresh. So, and then obviously a Pro 7 with USB Type-C. I don't think we're going to see Thunderbolt. I think we're going to see a lot of future Windows stuff and maybe future Windows hardware, maybe. So we'll see.
Yeah, so I've been kind of speculating about that as well. And actually, I will say the word that Satya Nadella is showing up kind of lends credence to this. I was just told by a source at Microsoft, a couple of weeks ago, that whatever this new folding dual screen hardware thing is these days, Centaurus, whatever they're calling it now, is nowhere near ready. Nowhere near ready. But there is a big thing happening in the industry right now around folding displays and so forth.
Right.
And it may make sense for Microsoft to come out a little prematurely and say, we just want to show you something that we're working on. And we're going to give these capabilities to our PC maker partners as well. Of course, we know Lenovo's working on something. And I also think the timing of this is very interesting because we have been testing Windows 10 20H1 now for several months. There hasn't been a whole lot of it. I mean, there's been actually a bunch of smaller things going in there,
Yeah.
but I think there are some big platform things that have to happen if Light OS is going to happen, et cetera, and these folding displays, and that 20H1 is a logical time frame for that to arrive in Windows. So maybe we'll also catch some information with regards to that release, which I think, I mean, I personally would love to see. I mean, I'm really eager for that to happen.
I think you just hit on something that might be it's interesting to me because I still struggle with what is the use case of a Andromeda / Centaurus type device. I really do.
Yeah. Of course.
I know you can draw like the niche, like, oh, an artist can do whatever, but that's not a mass market device. That's not it's not a whatever.
Right.
I honestly think it would be kind of interesting in being if they went up there and showed off like 4 different folding devices and be like, look, this is what we're building and this is what we're working on. We're building these capabilities into Windows, and we would love to know like what you guys think, and just kind of like develop the hardware narrative with everyone rather than being like, here's the device, it's going on sale next week type
Hopefully
scenario.
someone will figure out something to do with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I guess this is related to this. I've been working on this programming Windows series. I keep bringing it up because it's like consuming my life. But I just did a little check-in progress report thing today. But the impetus for this, I've been thinking about doing this article series for a long time. But what triggered me actually doing it was the conversation around UWP being killed by Microsoft. And what does that mean? What comes next? There's a lot of confusion around this. People like Rudy in the other days, like, oh, look, the Microsoft To Do app is a UWP app. Like that means something. The Microsoft To Do app is also completely meaningless. So who cares? No, I mean, just from a corporate sense. I mean, whatever. What does that mean?
They don't make
So
money
what?
with it. Yep.
No, who cares? But I care. So what comes next? People say, well, maybe they're going to redo the built-in apps as Win32 apps, whatever. And that was the comment that triggered it. I was like, that doesn't make any sense, and I don't think people understand. We throw these terms around like Win32. We don't understand even what that means. And as long ago as 25 years, or at least 25 years ago, Microsoft started actively seeking to get past the Win32 API somehow. And usually what you do is you create these things that work on top of it, And one of the big ones, of course, was .NET, .NET Framework, and then these programming frameworks, I guess we'll call them, like WinForms, Windows Forms, and then eventually WPF, the Windows Presentation Foundation. Those things were superseded over time, and now they're back, and they're open sourced. I am becoming increasingly convinced that the future of Windows application development is actually WPF. And I know that sounds a little strange, but and I haven't written this part of the series yet, so I don't want to go into too many details about this, but they very rapidly expanded from Windows Forms in .NET Framework 1.0 to the Windows Presentation Foundation in .NET, I'm not going to get that one wrong, 3.0 maybe, or whatever the version, but those things actually happened kind of back to back. And if you go back and look at what the rationale was for going from WinForms to WPF, I think what you will see is that rationalization, that reason, it still exists today, that thing is still modern enough that it still can account for high DPI displays and some of the things, like if you used to like put buttons on a Windows or a Visual Basic form, this window was like 400 by 300 pixels. Those things were fixed in space, and if you ran it on a really high DPI display, it would look like a teeny little postage stamp. But over time, of course, you have to get more sophisticated and handle those situations better. And I think the WPF actually solves this problem still today. So anyway, I know that was a long story. I'm sorry, but if the question is what's next, like, is there going to be a new API? Is there going to be I literally think it's some future rev of WPF running on .NET Core. .NET, well, actually .NET 5, I guess will be the name of it. Wow. So that's my bet. And if people are interested in this kind of stuff, what we have to look for, of course, and then we'll see this in the SDK updates, which is, by the way, Win32. Eventually, what you're going to see are low-level support for these features, like folding displays or dual displays, or whatever that might be. That will appear in the API, and then see if it's ever expanded to a higher level framework, which I believe will be WPF.
Interesting take.
It's my guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a crazy guess. It's really not.
Right. Well, the more I look at it, like I said, I've already gone on and on. I'm sorry, but the WPF is actually fairly sophisticated, and it, they revved very quickly. Like I said, WinForms, it still exists. I mean, it literally still exists. But if you this is kind of a weird way to say it, like as a superset, if you will, of WinForms or whatever, or a more sophisticated take on the same kind of problem, I think it has legs. Like it's weird because like the past is the future now. We'll see. But that's where I've landed so far.
Not crazy. But maybe. it would the bigger.
By the way, I'm sorry, if they do announce something new, I give up because I can tell you what the Windows developer world doesn't need right now is anything new.
You kind of hit on what I was just about to say. I'm curious to see how they would frame that. I don't think they would announce that at this event. I think this would be a build type announcement.
No, of course not. Right? No, but see, the reason that came up is because I had speculated earlier that this event maybe would have something about the future, hardware and/or software, and that the timing with 20H1, like I said, is ideal for them to divulge some of the ideas they have in the platform stuff, and maybe that this will be Light OS eventually, et cetera. Yeah. Once they do that, if it occurs this coming week or not, the week of October 2nd or not, that's when all of a sudden we will start getting 20H1 builds that have some of that stuff.
Yep.
We will get new releases of the Windows SDK that have that stuff. And that's the real, and then they'll come, if I'm right, again, I'm just guessing. I want to be clear about that. This is not based on anything. It's just based on my own suppositions. But, they can, WPF is out there, so we'll see. Maybe they add this stuff to Win32, which they have to through the SDK. Maybe they add it to UWP for those people so they can bring their stuff forward. Yeah. Maybe they add it to WPF as well. Like I wouldn't be surprised because I don't think there's a lot of greenfield, Windows app development happening right now. But if there is, like literal applications, that run on Windows, I think the story is going to be WPF. It's just, again, just my guess.
Interesting. It's not a. It'll be. We'll find out soon enough. Hopefully.
Yeah.
So. Wow.
Yep.
Totally. Well, there's two things going on. I totally forgot what I thought about. I'm really trying really hard not to sneeze on a podcast.
I know. Right before we started, I had this head explosion sneeze.
I don't think people realize how hard it is to be talking like this and one, not sneeze, not yawn, not breathe in a mic, not try not to smack your lips 500 times. Like it.
Oh, you actually try to stop doing that stuff?
Well, after 7 million comments a couple of years ago saying, stop smacking your lips every 5 minutes. It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So you
figure it out. Darth Vader breathing. And I'm like, would you please stop breathing into the mic?
We don't appreciate that you're above ground.
All this stuff that I breathe through is right in front of the mic. Sorry.
Yeah. So interesting look at, where they're, I think this is going to be, at least I hope that this event is going to have a lot of forward-looking attributes to it.
Me too.
Not so
whatever
much,
it is, right? Exactly.
Because last year's event was very much like, here's where we are. This is coming out in a week, and that's it. Like there was nothing aspirational about it.
Right, and whatever. It's always semi-interesting, but yeah, you're right. The thing that was missing is the thing that I think people like us, and I think fans of the platform, are most interested in is okay, so where are we going with this stuff? Like, what's the point? We get it. You revved Surface Laptop 2. It looks exactly like Surface Laptop 1. Fine. Yep. But where are we heading? So again, Nadella's coming. I think this opens it up to a broader. He didn't show up last year.
Nope, he did not. Did he show up the year before? What I can't remember.
The one before that would have been, was that Surface Book 2? I can't remember when the things were.
He wasn't at Surface Book 2. He was not at that one because that one wasn't even live streamed. Was it even announced? That was like the quiet one where we all had to go.
I can't remember. I really
Same
don't
with
know.
Surface Go. I think the last one he was at, was he at the studio launch? I can't remember.
Actually, the other thing is, I wouldn't. It's an impossibility that they're not going to discuss Surface Hub 2X, right? I don't remember the time frames they said. It's still too early. It's not like it's going to ship a week later.
It's 2020. So 2S is shipping now.
Yes. So the real Surface Hub 2.
Yes, the real Surface Hub 2.
Again, as sort of a future speculation kind of thing, it would make sense for them to show that thing off again. It's the truly innovative form factor and all that stuff. It's, or the software. Again, and maybe they could come up with a more concrete time. We've worked on this now and blah, blah, blah. Yep. We think we can have it done by whatever time frame or something, And by the way, why not open up? Because remember, the software is going to be completely different this time, right? Mm-hmm. So to date, Surface Hub has always had this kind of consistent thing. And they've, I think over time they added, isn't it like just the ability to actually log in, right, as a user? Yeah. Like you have multiple logins. Maybe there's something in there that is also based on this coming platform change. That this is the ideal time again for 20, and that thing will be a 20H1 device.
My favorite Surface Hub 2 story will always be, and this will probably be my favorite Microsoft story for a very long time, was they put together that huge narrative after they said, hey, we're going to launch the 2S. They're like, oh yeah, this is what people wanted. This is a thing that's going to help us. And then we go to the Surface Pro 6 event and Stevie Batisha's there, and I asked him, he's like, oh no, we made that in a month. He's like, that wasn't like we had the thing done or just about done, and then I decided to make this thing, and we did it in a month, and then we found that thing. I was like, that's great.
You know what though? That's a great Microsoft tradition right there. Yeah. After years slogging away trying to make Longhorn happen, they slapped together Windows Vista in like 15 months. Mm-hmm. They were like, screw it. There you go.
New paint, new shoes.
Yep.
Ship it.
Sure.
So. You got anything else for today, Paul? I think you're headed out. That's why people are wondering why it's not live today.
Yeah. So we're going to. We've got friends up from Boston, so we're going to go to DC.
Yep.
You basically. If I had, it worked out that we weren't going to be able to leave early enough. Like I was thinking. Like remember last time I was in DC, we did like a show from, I think the Portrait Gallery. I would have done that again, I guess, but actually this works out much better. So we're going to leave later and. Not have to worry about the podcast interrupting the day and so forth. So, so I'll be gone. I'll be out for the weekend. I'll probably still do a little bit of writing in the mornings, and then we come back on Monday. So Monday's going to be a little bit like today, in that I'll probably pop out a few things in the morning and be gone for a while, because we got to drive. But
yeah, if anything big happens, I should be around for most of the day, I think. There's
Yeah,
no contractors
cool.
coming.
good,
So.
good. Our guy's coming next Friday, by the way, for the final roof. This is the insurance people who will validate the. I didn't go up there with a golf club and start whacking holes in the. It's like, what's that guy doing on the roof?
It's been up there for hours.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. Well, everybody else, thanks for tuning in this week. We should all be back here hopefully on Monday, and have yourselves a wonderful weekend.